Hey, I actually had a request for a video, so I thought maybe I would comply with that request and do it, even though it's way too cold to be outside to do a video. So here we are at my desk in my front hall. And that's to compare, well, specifically the request was to talk about the Scribo 18K EF nib. Okay? I'm going to do that by doing a comparison with the Scribo 14K EF nib. So the 14Ks are flexible, the 18Ks are stiffer. And the purple pen, the Viola, is the 18K. And this new pen, the Finestra del Tempo, anyway, this pretty pen is the 14K. Now here's the thing. I'm going to show you some writing, and I'm actually going to kind of write at length with each pen so that you can see how it flows on the page and do a better comparison than just a sentence or a word. But what I have found about Scribo nibs is that there's great variation even within the same nib sizes. So I have several 14K EF nibs, and this is by far, well, not by far, this is the finest of those, and it is, I'm finding it the most pleasurable, but that could just be because it's new. Some of the 14Ks tend to write like they're a size bigger. So the EFs will write more like an F, the Fs will write more like an M, but not necessarily. They are very susceptible to pressure. And my first pen, I didn't spring it exactly, but my first Scribo was a fine, and in messing around with it, it really came to write more like a medium pen. So with the 14K pens, if you want to keep them at their true narrower width, you need to write very carefully with them. So anyway, with that, I love Scribo pens. Let's turn the camera around and I'll do some writing with them. Okay, maybe third time's the charm here. I'm having a little difficulty getting this working. We're going to start with the 18 karat nib. This is on the Viola pen, and it is really, there you go, beautiful. There we go, beautiful extra fine nib. Now, the trick is getting Mr. Camera to stay focused enough on the paper instead of my hand that you can actually see what I'm writing. So this is the 18 karat EF nib. The ink is Birmingham. Glass blowers, whoops, 2 S's, blowers, flame. And this is a sheening ink, sheening. And even though this is a very fine nib, you can see some of that, you probably can in the video, but it's allowing some of the aspects of the ink to show through, which it doesn't always on an EF nib. And so this is very fine. And I find when I write with a nib this fine, you see I write very quickly. My handwriting, which is already pretty small, gets smaller and smaller. And I like that, actually. It's probably not so great when I'm trying to communicate with somebody and when I'm writing a letter, but when I'm writing in my journal, I find that this kind of nib makes me get very focused and thoughtful, even though I'm, again, writing so quickly, I often get ahead of myself. But then the EF Flex nib, now keep in mind, as I've said before in my videos, there's great variation in these nibs. And there's also great sensitivity on the 14 karat nibs. You can, with a steady pressure, you can actually broaden them out a little bit. So I'm not really going to show off the flex qualities of this nib. It's a new pen. I love the way it's writing, and I don't want to really push it so that I get so that I lose some of the fineness of the line here. But it is a flex nib, and even without pushing it, you can feel the difference. The 14 karat is just softer. And you can also see that it is a little bit broader than the 18K. Right? Now again, I can't say that any 14 karat versus 18 karat that you're going to pick up from Scribo would show these particular differences, because as I've said, I find great variety in them. But in general, I think that you will find that the 18 karat nibs stay true to line, true to size, a bit more than the softer flex nibs, especially if you actually try and push them, which I am not. I am not pushing. But, you know, still get quite a bit of flair. And this is Sailor ink. I rarely use Sailor ink. I think this is the only one I have. This is, I think, the manual line. And it's Uma ink. Some vowel there. I saw this on somebody's Instagram post and I just fell in love with it, and I'm glad I got it because it's really a nice, I like brown inks, but I like brown inks that have a little red in them, and this is just perfect. Notice how it almost looks pink, but it's, anyway, very nice ink. Both of these pens are great, and I would say if you are only going to buy one Scribo pen, and who would want to just buy one Scribo pen? But if you're only going to buy one Scribo pen, get the 14K. Get the softer nib, get the flex, because that's what really is remarkable about the Scribo pens, is their extraordinary flex pens. On the other hand, don't be afraid of the 18K. They are also wonderful nibs, beautiful writers. Really, really glad I have some of each of them. And who knows, maybe someday I'll even buy a broad nib.